Men over 60, I need you to hear this. If you wake up feeling flat, low in energy, and physically disconnected from the strength you used to take for granted, that is not simply aging. Here is what 13 years of clinical practice has taught me. Your body is not finished. That natural morning vitality has not disappeared permanently. It has simply gone quiet, and with the right daily approach, it can be restored. I am Dr. Laura, a men's health specialist with over a decade of experience helping men in their 60s and 70s reclaim physical confidence, energy, and well-being, not through medication or procedures, but through their own daily habits and body awareness. What I have witnessed in my clinic again and again is that men who believe they have lost something permanently are often the ones most surprised by what returns. Here is the paradox most men never hear from their doctors. The decline in morning energy and physical vitality is rarely permanent. Deep inside, your circulatory system, your nerve pathways, and your body's natural rhythms are still intact. The issue is not destruction, it is neglect. And the solution is not a pill or a device. It is 3 overlooked pressure points on your body that act like dormant switches. Activate them correctly, combine them with a few simple daily habits, and your mornings will change. That is my commitment to you today. By the end of this, you will know exactly where these points are, how to use them, and which daily habits amplify their effect, giving you back blood flow, physical sensation, and natural morning vitality without embarrassment, without dependency, and without fear. Stay with me, because in just a moment, I will walk you through each point in detail. Before we begin, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another health tip designed specifically for men over 60. If this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't quite land, type 0 so I can keep refining this content for you. The truth about aging and vitality. Let me tell you something I wish every man over 60 could hear directly from his doctor. The loss of morning physical energy is not evidence that your body has failed you. It is not proof that your best years are behind you. What is actually happening is far simpler and far more hopeful than most men realize. Your body still remembers how to function at its peak. Your nerves are still active. Your blood vessels are still capable. Your system is still there, waiting. But over the years, the signals have grown quieter. The switches that once activated so easily have been resting. The pathways that carried blood and energy have simply gone underused. In my clinic, I have sat across from countless men who lower their voices and ask me, "Doctor, is something wrong with me? I used to wake up feeling strong every morning, and now I feel nothing." And I look them in the eye and tell them honestly, nothing is fundamentally wrong. Your body simply needs to be reminded of what it already knows. Aging is not the same as losing. Think of it like a room in your home you stopped visiting. The power is still connected. The lights still function. But because the switch hasn't been flipped in years, the room stays dark. That does not mean the electricity is gone. It means the connection hasn't been made. Your body's vitality works exactly the same way. The current is still there. You just need to learn how to flip the switch. I think of a patient I'll call Harold, 74 years old, who came to me not chasing anything dramatic. He simply said, "I just want to wake up one morning and feel like myself again." That sentence stayed with me because it captured what so many men truly need. Not just physical recovery, but the dignity and confidence that comes with knowing your body still responds to you. Within weeks of practicing what I am about to share, Harold called my office and said, "For the first time in 10 years, I woke up feeling alive." Morning vitality does not vanish because you are too old. It fades because the pathways stopped receiving consistent signals, and because no one ever taught you how to keep those pathways open. But the hopeful truth is that they can be reawakened. They are waiting inside you right now, ready to respond the moment you give them the attention they deserve. And that is where these 3 hidden points come in. 3 locations on your body that, when engaged correctly with breath and intention, help flip those circuits back on. Circulation improves, sensitivity returns, and your body begins to remember what it once did with ease. Let me show you the first of these points, located just above the pubic bone, a place most men never think to engage, but one that changes everything once they do. The first point, lower abdominal command center. The first point lies just above the pubic bone, that small stretch of lower abdomen where the belly meets the pelvis. Most men go their entire lives never giving this area any real attention. They treat it as nothing more than skin and bone. But clinically, it is one of the most significant command centers for male lower body circulation and vitality. When I work with patients and guide them to apply gentle awareness to this area, I often watch their expression shift, because something stirs that they assumed was long gone. It begins subtly, like a quiet warmth spreading through the lower abdomen. But that warmth can grow into genuine circulation and eventually a natural physical response that no supplement could replicate on its own. I recall a patient I'll call Walter, 67 years old, who walked into my office looking defeated. "I think I've lost it," he said. "I haven't woken up feeling strong in years." I placed his hand just above that lower point and guided him to breathe into it slowly, not with force, but with simple, steady presence. Within minutes, he felt a faint warmth. His posture changed. He smiled for the first time in our conversation. 2 weeks later, he came back and said, "Every morning now, I feel something returning. I thought it was gone forever." What makes this point effective is not mystery. It is biology. Beneath this area run key blood vessels and nerve pathways that supply the lower organs. When we stop engaging them, signals weaken, vessels tighten, and circulation slows. By stimulating this spot with mindful breath and gentle pressure, you are literally reminding your body to redirect blood flow and energy back where it belongs. Think of it as knocking on a door that has been shut too long. Once you knock, the pathways open. I always tell my patients, do not rush this. This is not about applying pressure aggressively. It is about re-establishing communication with your own body, and your body responds to patience and consistency. Many men tell me that simply placing attention on this point each day has given them back not just physical response, but a quiet sense of dignity, the knowledge that their body is still alive and capable. As powerful as this first point is, it is only the beginning, because there is a second location, one that men almost never hear about, that may hold even greater potential for restoring circulation and sensation throughout the lower body. The second point, the perineal region. Now we arrive at the second point, and I say with full clinical confidence that very few men have ever consciously engaged with it. This is the soft tissue region known as the perineum, located between the base of the scrotum and the tailbone area. In Eastern medicine, this point has been recognized for thousands of years, often referred to as CV1. In Western clinical practice, it is rarely discussed, which, from a circulation standpoint, is a significant oversight, because this area has extraordinary influence over lower body blood flow and nerve sensitivity. When I first began teaching patients about this region, the reaction was often skepticism, but I would guide them gently, seated comfortably on a soft rolled towel or cushion, to breathe deeply and simply allow the body to relax into that position. The results were often remarkable. Within minutes, many men reported a low, steady warmth in the lower body, a faint pulsing sensation, or simply a quiet awareness that something inside was beginning to reawaken. I recall a patient, a 71-year-old veteran I'll call Thomas, who came in and said, "It's like the lights went out. I don't feel anything anymore." I guided him through seated breathing with gentle natural pressure on that region. No forcing, no pushing, just stillness and breath. Within days, he called to say, "Something's happening. It's faint, but I feel a pulse again. I feel alive." Within weeks, he shared that his mornings were no longer empty. Warmth, sensitivity, and physical vitality were returning. Why does this work? Because the perineal region functions like a circulatory valve. When it is chronically tense and neglected, blood flow becomes restricted, nerve signals are interrupted, and the body forgets how to direct energy to the lower organs. When you release that tension through gentle seated pressure and slow breathing, the valve opens. Circulation that has been restricted for years begins moving freely. Nerve pathways reconnect, and gradually, sensation returns to areas you may have assumed were lost to time. And hope is exactly what transforms the process. Once a man feels even a trace of vitality returning to his lower body, his entire mindset shifts. He stops carrying the belief that he is broken. He begins to trust his body again, and that trust is itself therapeutic. But as powerful as this second point is, there is still one more, and it surprises nearly every man I share it with, because it is not located in the groin at all. It runs along the inner thigh, a place most men have never associated with lower body vitality. Yet once you learn to engage it, it may deliver the final key to restoring your circulation and energy in ways you never anticipated. The third point, the inner thigh pathway. The third point is perhaps the most overlooked of all. It is not on the groin or the lower abdomen, yet it plays a direct role in lower body circulation and morning vitality. This point lies along the inner thigh crease, right where the thigh meets the lower abdomen. Beneath that soft tissue line runs the femoral artery and the femoral nerve, two of the primary highways delivering blood flow and nerve signals to the lower body. When these pathways are restricted or chronically neglected, physical vitality loses volume, sensitivity, and the natural strength that once came effortlessly. When you awaken them, everything changes. Most men think of their thighs only as muscles for movement. They rarely connect them to their physical and circulatory health. I remember a patient I'll call Earl, a 68-year-old who had spent decades in a sedentary profession, arriving at my office feeling completely disconnected from his lower body. "I never thought my thighs had anything to do with what happens in the rest of my body," he said. I showed him how to trace his fingertips along the inner crease, pausing at any tight or tender spots, and to breathe slowly while applying light, steady pressure. Earl was skeptical at first. Within a week, he noticed something unexpected. "I feel warmer down below. It's like the blood is actually moving again." By the second week, he was waking up with a sense of physical vitality he hadn't experienced in years. And what struck me most was this: "I don't just feel more in my body, doctor. I feel more like myself." That is the deeper power of this point. It does not just restore circulation, it restores confidence, physical control, and the quiet dignity of knowing your body still responds to you. The science is straightforward. The femoral artery is a direct pipeline of blood flow to the lower organs. The femoral nerve is one of the primary sensation highways. When those pathways become restricted, through years of sitting, inactivity, or simple neglect, no supplement can fully compensate. But by gently pressing, massaging, and breathing into this area, you release tension, improve flexibility, and reopen the road. You invite blood to flow freely again and remind your nervous system that the connection still exists. Many of my patients report benefits beyond lower body vitality when they begin engaging this inner thigh line. They sleep more deeply, feel calmer in the mornings, and walk with noticeably more energy. It is as if the entire lower body wakes up, taking with it the vitality that had simply been waiting for its turn to return. You now know all 3 points: the lower abdominal zone, the perineal region, and the inner thigh pathway. Together, they function as switches that restore your body's natural circulatory strength. But pressing these points alone tells only part of the story, because if your body's daily foundation is weak, the results will fade. That is why I want to share a set of daily habits that transform these techniques from a temporary spark into a lasting fire. Why these points work. The science. You may be wondering what is actually happening beneath the skin when you press, breathe, and bring intentional awareness to these 3 points. The answer is not magic. It is simple physiology combined with the powerful act of reconnecting to your own body. Physical vitality is the product of 2 systems working in harmony: blood flow and nerve signaling. When both are strong and unobstructed, the body performs naturally and consistently. When they are blocked or neglected, that natural performance fades, not because the ability is gone, but because the communication has been interrupted. Think of your body as a city full of highways. Arteries are the roads that carry traffic. Nerves are the power lines that illuminate the city. If a road is blocked, the vehicles cannot get through. If the power lines go dark, the lights dim. But when you clear the roads and restore the current, the whole city wakes up again. That is precisely what these 3 points accomplish. The lower abdominal point reawakens deep pelvic circulation, sending fresh blood to the organs that depend on it. The perineal region acts as a valve, releasing restricted flow and reconnecting nerve pathways that have fallen silent. The inner thigh line opens the main circulatory highway, allowing blood and nerve signals to move freely again through the lower body. I have watched men who believed they were finished, men who assumed age had taken everything, discover within weeks of engaging these points that warmth, sensation, and physical vitality had returned. I think of a patient named Leonard, 69 years old, who told me plainly, "I just want to know my body can still respond." After beginning this practice, he called one morning, voice full of quiet joy. It happened. No pills, no tricks, just me. The relief in his voice told me everything. It was not just the physical response he had recovered. It was his dignity, his confidence, and the deep reassurance that he was still whole. Science supports exactly what these men experience. When circulation improves, nitric oxide is released, vessels expand, and sensitivity increases. When nerve pathways are reawakened, the brain strengthens its signals and the body responds. You do not need to fight your body. You simply need to remind it of the pathways it already knows. And once you do, your mornings transform. 5 daily habits that lock in your results. Now that you understand why these 3 points work, let me share what truly makes the difference long-term. Engaging the points alone can spark powerful change. But to make those changes last, to keep waking up every morning feeling strong and alive, you need to support them with 5 simple daily habits. These are not demanding routines. They are small, consistent practices that build the circulatory and neurological foundation your body needs to thrive. Deep belly breathing. 5 minutes a day of slow nasal breathing into the belly can lower blood pressure, relax blood vessels, and naturally increase nitric oxide. Men who commit to this consistently report that their mornings feel calmer and their physical response is stronger. One patient told me, "I didn't believe breathing could matter this much, but within a week, everything felt different." Morning warm water hydration. After a night of rest, your blood is thicker and circulation is slower. Starting your day with a glass of warm water gently thins the blood and primes your circulatory system, particularly in the lower body. A small habit with a meaningful impact. Reducing evening sugar intake. Sugar quietly damages the inner lining of blood vessels, making it harder for arteries to repair themselves. Weaker vessels mean weaker circulation overall. Several of my patients noticed significant improvement in morning vitality simply by eliminating a nightly sweet snack, because their vessels finally had space to recover. A short walk after dinner. You do not need to run or lift weights. A gentle 10 to 15-minute walk activates your body's natural venous pump, helping blood circulate evenly through the lower body overnight. It is simple, safe, and clinically effective. Patience and intentional self-care. This is not abstract advice. When you approach these techniques with frustration or impatience, your nervous system tightens and resists. When you treat the practice as something worth caring for, with consistency and respect, your body genuinely responds differently. The nervous system is remarkably sensitive to your emotional state. Together, these 5 habits form the daily foundation that transforms 3 simple pressure points into a lasting lifestyle practice. Real men, real results. Whenever I share these methods, I know there are men who listen politely but remain privately skeptical. They wonder if it is too simple, if the results sound too good, or if they are somehow the exception who will not respond. I understand that doubt completely, because I have sat across from hundreds of men who felt exactly the same way. What my 13 years in clinical practice have shown me, however, is this. When a man commits consistently to these practices, his body finds a way to respond. And the changes I witness are not just physical. They are deeply personal, restoring dignity, purpose, and connection in ways that are difficult to quantify. Harold, 74 years old, had tried every supplement and remedy available. He came into my office and said, "I don't need to feel 30 again. I just want to wake up one morning and know I still matter." 3 weeks after beginning the practice, he called me, voice trembling. It happened. Natural strength. for the first time in over a decade. It was not only a physical change, it was the return of his sense of being whole. Leonard told me he no longer expected much. He simply wanted proof that his body could still respond. He began the practice quietly and without expectation. One morning he sent me a message. "I know now that I'm not finished. I still have life in me." That moment shifted everything for him. And Earl, the man who had spent years in a sedentary job, found that awakening the inner thigh pathway gave him back not just circulation, but energy, calmness, and physical control he had not felt in years. "I feel like myself again," he told me, and that was the truest measure of success. What ties all these stories together is not just a physical change, it is the return of hope, the quiet, powerful realization that the body still has more to give, that a man is not finished, and that vitality is something he can actively reclaim. The final lesson: after more than a decade of working with men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, one truth stands above everything else I have learned. Real, lasting change does not come from trying something once. It comes from commitment, from showing up every single day with patience and intention. That is how a technique becomes a practice, how a spark becomes a sustained flame, and how a man genuinely reclaims what he believed was gone. I have watched men discover these 3 points, feel an immediate surge of hope, and then quietly slip back into their old patterns, only to lose the progress they had made. And I have watched others who made these techniques a daily act of self-respect transform not just their mornings, but their entire sense of self. The difference was never age, health history, or luck. The difference was consistency. This is not about recapturing youth. It is not about pretending time has not passed. It is about stepping into this season of your life with dignity, confidence, and physical presence. It is about telling your body, "I still believe in you. I still trust you. I will not abandon you." When you do that, when you turn these techniques into a daily ritual, your body responds in ways that will surprise you. You will wake up with more energy. You will carry yourself with a quiet assurance. You will sleep more deeply and move through your days with a sense of physical connection that most men your age have quietly given up on. I think of Walter, who told me, "I feel like I've been given back a part of myself." I think of Harold, who discovered that his mornings still held promise. I think of Leonard, who found pride in knowing his body could still answer him. None of these men were trying to be young again. They were reclaiming their presence, their connection to life itself, bringing it all together. As we close, I want you to pause and take this personally. You came into this perhaps with doubt, wondering whether your body had already reached its limit. But now you know the truth. Your body is not broken. Your vitality is not gone. Your age does not define your ability to feel fully alive. You have learned 3 points: the lower abdominal zone, the perineal region, and the inner thigh pathway, that act as dormant switches waiting for you to activate them. You have learned that pairing these points with daily breathing, hydration, reduced sugar, gentle movement, and patient self-care creates the foundation for results that last. And you have heard from real men, Harold, Leonard, Earl, who once thought they were finished and discovered their bodies still carried extraordinary life, dignity, and strength. Inside you right now, there is that same spark, the quiet desire to wake up and feel that your body still belongs to you. Every time you engage these points with patience, you are not just stimulating blood flow. You are telling yourself, "I am still here. I still matter. I am not finished." The final lesson I want to leave you with is this: change is not built in a single session. It is built day after day through care and intention. That is how Walter, Thomas, Leonard, and so many others transformed their mornings, their confidence, and their relationship with themselves. And that is how you can too. The vitality you are looking for is not behind you. It is inside you right now, waiting for you to decide to claim it.